There was a fancy remote before. What's that?
On the table there.
No, not this one. A different one, but I didn't think it was this thing. That way I don't have to, I can just sit with you guys instead. Here's a corner. That's not it. I know it was here. It's where I'm not imagining.
Never get you through the day, man.
Yeah. Keep telling myself that, right? Yes. There it is. Look at that. This is what I was talking about. That's not it. Perfect. Okay, here we go. You still have this from last time? Okay. That's my claim to fame, right there.
Lipped mama.
What's that?
Lipped mama.
Love lipped mama. LPT.
Lipped mama.
My business partner used to call it LP mama. I'm like, but you're forgetting the T. I changed it on him, and I think he hated it. But I don't care. All right. The usual suspects. Let's jump in here. Here's what we're going to be doing today. Talking about what successful agents, the idea of the class is to continually go through what successful agents are doing day in and day out, how they grow their business, how they run their business, remind you of that every day, and take a step and a deep dive into each little section about what we're doing. I think I should change. I did this last time. Now I have my back to the camera. So goes back. There. Okay. Everybody online hear me all right? Zal, give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, Mohammed, cool, thank you. All right, so today we're going to discuss specifically, if I'm on the right screen here, lead generating for buyers and sellers. We talked about that, but the idea today is kind of diving into scripting and learning and internalizing scripts to help agents focus on all the facets of their business, from lead generating to getting to the closed contract. The big picture of scripts. Scripts help you lead generate, uncover motivations, identify objections, and ultimately lead to closed deals, speak in terms the customer understands, and build confidence. Who here hates scripts? Are you guys raising your hand? Online too? Everybody seems to hate scripts. I'll tell you what, I absolutely hated it when I started with Art. And Art handed me this sheet of paper and it had notes and stuff written on it everywhere. And he said, use this and you'll be successful. And I didn't understand it. And I said, what in the heck does that mean?
How long ago was this?
8 years. So I've been doing this for 8 years. I did it in the car business, but I didn't know what I was doing. And you probably do it now too. You might not realize, at least what I've come to know scripts as. So my thought as a script, and I try to explain it this way to everybody, because scripts, you get this negative connotation and you have the idea of it sounds so robotic and it doesn't fit, it doesn't sit well with people, it doesn't conform to what we need it to, right? And I think that's simply because most people, the kind of human nature puts you in this position where, hey, if it's not working, if it doesn't work right away, or within a certain length of time, then throw it out the window, right? You give it a try, you read from it, and that's the thing you're doing. You're reading from it as you're talking to somebody. Well, to really make a script work, you have to know it in and out. So that's what we're going to do a little bit today. But we'll talk about why you hate them and why you don't like them here in a little bit. But the biggest thing that I've learned about scripts is they really help you control the conversation. Knowing what and how to say it is very, very powerful, especially when you get to the point where you're positioning yourself as the expert in front of somebody. You're laying out the listing presentation or the buyer presentation. Again, if you've gotten any business, you've done it already. Finney, you shared with me, you sit down, you have it all on the computer, right? You have it all sitting on a shelf somewhere or in the computer or something like that. But you just talk to your clients, talk to your customers when you have a presentation in front of you, right?
Mhm.
Do you find yourself saying a lot of the same things sometimes?
Yes and no. It
Mhm.
depends because 99.9% are people that I know very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm saying the same thing, but differently because I know their personality and know how to talk to them.
So that is a script. You're just adjusting it based on your audience.
Correct.
Because you've internalized it, you've made it yours. Now you're presenting it based on how it needs presented. So that's exactly what we're talking about here today.
I think why scripts has a negative connotation is script, in my mind, is something that you need to repeat verbatim.
Hmm.
Right? Like saying script is something that you had to memorize, that
Yep.
you repeat verbatim,
Yep.
however Joe Schmo at Bold taught you how to do it, right?
Yep.
And I think that's a real script is where you take the content and for me, I would overthink it and over communicate it. And a script, even though I hate it,
Yep.
keeps me in the lane.
Yep.
Because I'll go 10 different ways, sideways.
The biggest thing that I learned, because this was my business, this script and lead gen, and that was it. That was my sole focus, my sole purpose in life, and then teaching other people how to do it. So doing that, and one of the biggest things that I learned from that, first 10 minutes where Art's handing me this script with a bunch of, scribble and scrabble on it, is simply once you learn it, memorize it, know it, that's when you make it your own and do exactly what you said, right? And exactly what you said, you presented it in the right way to a different person. You present it as it's your wording, as it's you own it, and you really take command of it. And that helps you communicate the right value that you want to get across. So without internalizing it, you simply aren't able to get the right value proposition across to the audience that you have in front of you. I wouldn't say the same thing every time either. Talking to a high D, I'm going to get it across in a few words so they hear it. I'm going to get straight to the point. If I'm talking to a high I, you better believe I'm telling a story around it. You better believe it. There's going to be a story around whatever it is I'm trying to get across, and that phone call is going to be 25 minutes as opposed to 4 with the high D, right? This profile, if anybody isn't aware.
What about an S?
What about an S? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make sure that I'm talking numbers and I'm laying it out systematically.
Thank you.
Pick it up.
That's C's, right?
C is the numbers.
Please.
Or the S person is we need to let you know that you're doing a good job.
Yeah, yep. Sorry about
To
that.
lay it out, let you know, and then acknowledge that you did an excellent job.
So if you guys ever want to tell me how great of a job I'm doing teaching class or anything like that, feel free. I'm an SC 99% all the way. I present as a slightly higher I and some D, but most of it's SC for me. Anyway, but yeah, I'm going to lay it out a little bit differently when I'm talking to different people. And that's exactly how you're going to get your point across and how you're going to really purposely get the value proposition, how we need to get it, right? Another thing that scripts are going to allow you to do is really uncover the motivation and identify those objections. This was key for me, learning to do that in this process, asking different questions and how to ask questions. It was surprisingly simple, not always easy, but I found that I had to get over myself more than I had to get over what was coming from the person I was talking to, especially when digging for motivation, because there's certain things that sound weird, or at least you feel they might sound weird, but they don't when you're talking to somebody, because then they're in their thought, they're thinking about it, and then they're going to share it with you, right? So uncovering objections and or motivations and identifying those objections are super important for the initial stage of the process when you're using the script. LPT Mama, dig in for their motivation and what they're trying to accomplish. You're going to be able to set yourself up to be able to use the right scripts when you're in front of them. Allow you to ask questions in a way that they'll be quickly able to share the information and better serve them. Man, I said that without even, it's like it was a script. Come on, guys, you're killing me here. You're blocking the view. Gotta move you.
Get that little single line.
Single, oh,
The minimize.
yeah, how do we do this? Yeah, I get it.
Far
Like this. There we go. Yeah, move them up here. There they are. Take a second, read what you're seeing. Did you find everything you're looking for? Go ahead, look around, and please let me know if I can help you. I see you admiring that big screen TV. Are you looking to get one of those for this big game? The big game this weekend. Did you say this? Yeah. Anyway. You guys ever heard anything like this come out of anybody's mouth?
Every time I go into Target.
Every time you go into Target, what do you think they are? Scripts, right? Have you heard a salesperson say it in a different way that made you feel less combative? Because what do you typically feel? Or at least the first two, right?
I wasn't looking for any of this.
Right? So you have a script back, don't you?
So, yes,
Right?
exactly.
Oh, amazingly, this is one of the coolest things that I learned is you've got a script as a potential buyer, right? Or a potential seller. They've got their scripts too.
I have the best one.
When you talk to them, what's your script?
Talk to my wife.
There you go. Right?
Talk to them.
Talk to my wife. Leave me alone.
And that's what she says.
Hmm. What if you're standing there together? Do you both say that?
No, I say that and look at her and
And then you throw her under the bus?
it takes years.
Years of
know.
practice. So what do you see as differences between the first two and the last one?
The last one is definitely more aggressive and more outright. To me.
I think it's more of a conversation.
That's what I was looking for. It is a little more aggressive, but they're picking it out for a specific reason. I would say, yes, can be more of a conversation, right? One thing I found around scripts is questions are hugely important. Why are they hugely important?
You can't say yes or no. Well, it's not, you can't say like, you can't, well, you can, it's if you ask a yes or no question, but
Yep.
You can
So
answer.
open-ended questions are hugely important.
open
Thank
and
you,
quit.
Gonzalo. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Open-ended questions are hugely important. Why are they hugely important?
You get answered.
Yeah. So you asked the first question, did you find everything you were looking for? Well, what are most people going to say?
Nah, I'm good.
No, I'm good. Yep. Kind of
Yeah,
a
I
yes or no question, right? No, I'm good. Or yes, I did. Great, thanks. Right? We ask the right questions. In order to use the script, you got to find the purpose behind it. Commonly used in sales and service industries. So scripts should be used as a more customer focused and customer oriented. If we can find those answers to the questions, that's when we can put our knowledge out there and start working for them, as opposed to simply jump into the conclusion of, you're gonna get the game, this TV for the big game this weekend, or whatever it might be, right? So if we can gather that information, internalize those scripts, and start presenting them in the way that's gonna match the customer that we're talking to, that's where we find success. That's where we can move forward and get on the same page. So let's talk a little bit about limiting beliefs. So you have an activity on page 4. We're going to kind of go through it together, but I'm going to put the questions out there at home. You guys will have to listen and write down answers, but I'm going to ask you to share and participate. So that we've got an activity, removing your limiting beliefs, right? The idea around scripts, kind of what we've been talking about. Write down limiting beliefs that held you back when making phone calls or talking to people on the phone. What are some of those? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to go ahead and do this, and we'll talk about them and just get them out there. For each of those, write down a way that you already have or can remove that limiting belief. So what I'm asking you to put down is what stopped you from making a phone call? What are things that you thought in your mind or said out loud? What stopped you from making that phone call? And then write next to it, what can remove that limiting belief? Part 2 would be, we'll move on to that in a second. So let's start with part 1. Write down 2 or 3, it's fine. In your packet, you've got 3 spaces, but let's 2 or 3 is fine. What is a limiting belief that has held you back from making a phone call, from talking to somebody? And then what is a plan you have already or a way that you can remove that belief or counteract that belief? And I'll just give you 2 minutes. What? Muhammad ditched us. Everybody have 1 or 2? 2 or 3? Stop me if you need more time. All right, let's do it. Vinny, you want to share one?
Yeah, they don't want to hear it.
They don't want to hear it.
My phone is on silent. And I'm only going to answer my phone if that person's name shows up. A lot of times it says spam, they say telemarketer, they say nonprofit.
Mhm.
And so if I'm already, and this is for strangers.
Mhm.
I have no problem with anybody I know calling, talking,
Mhm.
doing. But strangers.
Okay.
I feel that they probably have the same attitude as I do. I don't want it. I didn't call you. Da 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 da.
Mhm.
And I'm a firm believer in that on me.
Sure.
And that's how I feel.
Okay.
And I can't call a stranger cold turkey, period,
Let me ask you a question.
on real estate.
How do you feel about the Washington football team?
I mean, the Redskins, they
There you
suck.
Okay. Does everybody feel that way?
Not my wife.
So I picked an awesome example. So you think the Redskins suck. Your wife does not. She likes them. So you don't like talking to salespeople. Does everybody feel that way?
I have no idea. But
If we're inferring it, what do you think? Knowing that some people don't like the Redskins, but some people do, what do you think about when people call? Some people don't like it, but some people might.
well, I think they're gullible.
Okay.
Now,
So I think what I'm trying to point out, Benny, is you feel. You said it a couple of times.
Right.
I feel, right? And that was a big one for me to get past too. I feel. One of the scariest things for me is what if they're not happy that I called them? What if they don't want to talk to me? What if they swear at me? Well, there's a couple of things on the other side of that, but let me see if you got an answer. What's a way that you can overcome that limiting belief of I feel that I don't want to talk to them. Nobody will want to talk to them.
well, I have several friends, real estate agents, that all they do every morning from 8 o'clock till noon is sit on their telephone and their dialers.
Mhm.
And they usually go through 100 no's or clicks or whatever to get one call. That's not me.
Okay,
Um,
so then what is a way for you to bypass this limiting belief? The second part of the question. How do you get past it?
make it interesting. I don't know how. I'm being serious.
Yeah,
Um,
well, not everything's gonna work for somebody. The scenario you just described was an interesting one for me, but it wasn't something that I did constantly in my head. It was, well, that's a no on my way to the next yes for somebody that I can help.
right, and that's the attitude that my friends keep telling me.
Right. So some people have that attitude and that helps them make it. For others, it might be something else. What's a way that we can overcome Vinny's limiting belief? What do you think?
Well, that's what I
Gonzalo?
wrote. I wrote number 2 was pissing them off and wasting their time.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
which I think is a pretty much there, if they answer the phone, right? And I wrote, trying counts, it's not a fail if you try. So that's like, you have to have the mindset that they could be angry at me, that I called them and they could hang up on me, but at least I know now. It's fine, mark it
Okay.
off, I did it. It wasn't a fail because I did it.
Yeah.
So,
When I cold call, I let them know, or I give them the option. Well, I let them know that I'm giving them the option to end the call after I give them what I need to tell them. So I'll say, I know maybe now is not the right time to talk about this, but do you mind if I explain why I'm calling in? You can decide if we can go forward or not. And then it gives them like, okay, he's calling for something. He's telling me he's calling for something. Let me hear him out. Usually, almost all the time they say yeah, because like, who's gonna say no? Unless they're really, really busy. So if you let the customer know or give them the option to hear you out, and if they say yes, they can continue, then you can continue. If they say no, it's only been like 30 seconds.
There's a couple of different ways to come at it.
And offer them something. Information, how's the neighborhood doing? Is there a home in the neighborhood that's being sold? Something.
One of the ways that I go through that, thank you for sharing, Gonzalo. One of the ways that I go through that, and I'm going through it now because I'm having different conversations than I was before, and I'm having different scripts, and I'm practicing and relearning them and going through that process again and coming up with the same things that I did when I was with Art the first time and started again the second time, get back into real estate, practicing those scripts and not having the confidence I needed as a person to make the phone calls, going through that. So then the way for me to overcome it was having the right conversation and having that script ready so that I know no matter who I was talking to, whether they wanted to hear it or not, I have value to provide. So I have something to give. And if I can give it, I'm going to give it. And that's how I'm going to help somebody. And if I can't help them and they choose not to listen, that's up to them. I have something to provide. I have value to put forth. That's how I overcame it. So I got good at scripts. And I believed in the fact that one, when I was calling around business, is my team's going to provide the best service. I know I'm going to go above and beyond and make sure that this person's going to get what they need and going to be super happy about it. And I'm going to do my darndest, my best, that I know a lot of other agents aren't going to do that, right? So that was what I was providing. And the way I went about showing that was to master the script to make sure I was telling them about it in the right way that I wanted to put across. So that's what I'm doing here too. Same thing. Getting the script together, having the learning as much as I can to make sure that I have the value to give to this person on the other end of the call. And I'm going to make that call because I know if I don't, somebody else will make it and they could end up somewhere where, well, I just heard about it today. An agent that joined because a family member was there and they're not getting any training and they're not doing any deals and they're unhappy, but they feel obligated because they're with that that family member, that cousin or whatever, right? So for me, I know I'm gonna provide more value than this other office is. If I'd have called that person beforehand, maybe they'd be in a good situation now. Right? So that's one of the things that we want to think about. It's setting that mindset set up to make sure that we're in the right position. Anybody have any others that they want to share?
I said awkwardness.
Awkwardness. Okay,
Do you cold call?
No. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
See, she's got my attitude.
I'm super awkward on cold calls, like so awkward.
It will be.
No, it's super awkward.
It's gonna be. Yeah, I'm still awkward.
Yeah, cold calling is not my thing. I even have anxiety about my awkwardness calling people that I know. Because people don't really answer the phone and I have to have a purpose to do my 10 calls, right? Whatever I've designated for that week is I have to have a purpose. And I said, like, my big issue is I hate a canned, like, I hate the whole canned thing. Hey, I'm just calling to see how things are going, because it sounds in my brain very insincere.
sure.
And so for me, why I have to pre-plan so that my awkwardness is limited, which is pre-planning is basically a script.
Mhm.
Like, what's my theme? Why am I calling? How was
Exactly.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Did you get my pop by? Right? Like, that's, I have to have a purpose, and it has to be something that reflects who I am. And so it's easier for me
So
to get over that.
your awkwardness is the limiting belief, and the
Right.
way you overcome it is
Pre-planning.
pre-planning.
Right.
And ultimately is
Script.
Okay,
It's hard for me to say, hi, this is Pastor Benny, want to sell your house? I mean, there's. They don't expect me. When I call somebody, it's usually
You haven't come to Jesus moments? Is that?
yeah, pretty much.
so,
Me too.
so what I'm hearing, Vinny, what I'm hearing you say is your limiting belief is that you don't believe they'll see you as an agent.
Yeah, they won't see me as an agent first.
Do they have to
No,
for you to help them?
no, all the houses I've sold are,
Okay,
you know, students of my Bible classes and everything like that. So no, they don't have to see me as a real estate agent first, but they call me because they trust me.
Mhm.
And that's how I get my business,
Okay.
just through the trust.
And so your limiting belief is further than that, is that you're afraid you're going to lose their trust by making these phone calls?
Losing their sight of my sight. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm not following.
That they don't know who you are anymore? They see you
Yes,
as something
They're,
else.
they're,
Right.
right. Because they've always seen me as a pastor, a rabbi, someone always first in the community to help, someone leading the food drive, someone who's doing all those things, and then you throw real estate into it. It kind of just doesn't, in my mind, okay? In their mind, they may see it totally different, but in my mind,
Mhm.
that's how I see, and I don't want them to see me as a real estate agent. I want them to see me as someone who's gonna help them through a situation. And real estate is one of those situations.
Giving's not free.
Hmm,
Giving's not free. You
right?
can't keep giving if you got nothing. Gotta make
Yeah,
it
you
somehow.
I have a nonprofit, and the meaning is giving gifts that others have given me. So I give the gifts that others have been given me.
Right.
You're
So-
right, if I have nothing, I can't give.
Right.
So all give to me, so I can give out.
So what I'm hearing is the limiting belief around it is that you don't want to lose your status. I'm gonna just close this door, guys, I'm not walking away, I swear. You don't want to lose how people see you and that focus around what your passion is for helping others, right?
Correct.
Well, but it also goes, I think, beyond, like, I'm 99% sphere and referral based. And when you call someone, my thing is always, am I coming from a place of where's my value? Am I calling you because we're friends?
Mhm.
Or am I calling you because I'm doing a sales pitch? And I hate the sales pitchy part of it,
Mhm.
right? And that's always, that's the actual fear is I'm sorry. I don't want to be the used car salesman, sorry. But that's like, I don't want you to think that I'm not coming from a place of giving,
Mhm.
and I'm not coming from a place that I, want to help. But this is who I am. And I think it's the same thing as you want to be seen as a person who's going to give value, going to help you in ways,
Yeah,
and that you're coming from the right place versus I need money. Or
Yeah.
I need to grow my business.
so my challenge to you, and I don't think we're gonna solve it, and I don't think we can help you solve it, is to take that limiting belief, that idea, put all of those down and start coming up with thoughts on how do I overcome that?
I have a wife, make her do it.
That's
Don't
my
laugh.
wife.
As a wife, I'm just
That's-
going to say
No.
to you, knock it off.
No.
That's my wife.
Stop it.
No, I joined real estate, took the classes, did everything to build a business so my wife can retire and start into real estate. That is the reason I'm sitting here, okay? It's not because it's something that I wanted and I need for my life, but I need it for my life, for my wife's life,
So that's your why.
okay? So that's my why.
So
I'm doing
is
this
that a big enough why for you to help her?
to the degree that I do. I'm sitting here, aren't I?
That's true.
I going to the MREA
Yeah.
book club. I'm the only guy. I mean, yes. So those obstacles will always be my obstacles.
Mhm.
What I'm focused on and the direction is to make a business that my wife can step into. I will be the brains and the foundation, and then she steps into what I've planted the seeds and started the movement with,
Yeah. It's good.
okay?
What I like about this, though, is the conversation that we were starting during the team meeting today, which is mindset,
Mhm.
which is for me is where I need to get. And I think when I do lead genning, and that's like I've got like a social media ad that comes up, and it used to be super hard for me to even call the person if they gave me their phone number. Like, I don't want to call this person. They don't want to answer my phone call. And my coach got mad at me and she goes, stop it. Your mindset needs to be, if they were in a class and you were the teacher and they raised their hand, would you call on them? Same thing. They gave you their number.
Mhm.
That says they actually want you to call them.
Yeah.
I like that.
So every single time I get those leads with the phone number, I will literally imagine, that's the mindset. Imagine the person standing there with their hand raised going, hi.
It's funny. That's what Art used to call it. I don't know if he still does that, but he would call it raising the
Yeah.
hand.
Call it raising the hand.
Raising the hand.
Yeah, that's the only way to get that mindset for me is all of this is just
Yeah.
visualizing.
If I get a phone call, I have no problems. None whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I can't be the one to call you. But if you call me, all the doors are open.
So you may not agree with this, Vinny, and not everybody will. I truly believe to some degree, you can do what you want to do. And this is kind of what it is around like a limiting belief, right? You won't be the one to call or can't be the one to call. You can. You just have to find the reason that would want you to make that call. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What's going to put yourself in the mindset to make the call? So that's the idea of this activity. And I again challenge you all to take it home and say, what is it that's stopping me? What is it that can move me forward? And the second section, part 2, supposed to sit down with a partner. I'm not going to do all that. Is to put a step-by-step analysis together on what can get you from that limiting belief into making the call or following up. And this doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and cold call to be successful in real estate. We all know that's not true. It's one aspect, but it could also be stopping you from making the call to people that you do know, that already trust you, right? And you both shared with me already, right? And I've had that same thing. I know I've stopped making phone calls this week already. And I said, oh, well, I made a reason. And that reason was based on one of my limiting beliefs, and I made an excuse, and here I am already starting the week behind, and I got to catch up today, right?
You're in debt.
Yeah,
Debt to
I'm
your
in debt to
goals.
myself already.
Well, I got a listing about a week and a half ago. It doesn't go on until February.
Okay,
And it was a broker that someone had gone to the broker and said, I want to sell my house. And the broker, who is not even affiliated with here, said, call Vinny Short. And that's because he's comes to my Bible classes. And he's another broker of his own brokerage. And someone came, who do you call? He's got a whole brokerage. And because of my relationship, call Vinny Short.
yeah,
Not one of his agents,
yeah,
call Vinny Short.
there you go.
So he calls me ahead of time. And so I called the person. And everything works out.
Imagine if you told that story to some of these people.
Like what people?
The,
People your wife.
the people that you're gonna make your wife call. And just share it, right? Like how grateful you are that this person did that for you. You think that could be a powerful story for you to share? In conversation,
Yeah,
yeah,
but my whole life is like that.
yeah, well, share your whole life like that. You've told me stories like that all the time, but you don't share what helps you. You share what's helped other people, right? And how you've been a part of that. Share that story. And how grateful you are. That's the point, right? That you're grateful this gentleman went out of his way because you have the right relationship that you want to have, and that's how you want to do business. So you share that story, that's how people are going to hear about it. They're not going to hear about it from others. So, all right, so the idea is make that step-by-step process to get past your limiting belief. Around limiting beliefs, communication is key. It's not about what they think you're saying, it's about what someone actually hears. Scripts allow people to have rehearsed responses that deliver a powerful message in a way that the customer will actually understand. This was huge for me. Understanding this and asking the right questions and having the right responses, for me, made me feel like I was an expert. When in all actuality, I wasn't, but I had a team that was backing me up as an expert. Same way you guys have. We've got lots of experience in the office. If you don't have the experience, I'm sure there's somebody in here that does.
Yeah.
Right? So being able to position yourself builds confidence in the job ability. And that's understanding and having the scripts ready. It allows you to stay focused on the conversation in the moment and make sure you're talking about the right things. and consistency in what's said and the actions that you take. What are some of those experiences you've had? Or what do you think is kind of the most important benefit of learning and using scripts? I mean, you guys have talked about it. You don't like scripts, and I get that. But my question is, the scripts that we pointed out that you are using already, what have your clients seen? What have you seen in using those scripts and how it's benefited you and your clients? Anybody think of a particular situation that it went well? I can certainly think, while you guys are thinking through it, I can think of probably 15 to 20 different scenarios where I had somebody on the phone that, just like you guys have said, wasn't happy to talk to me. I got past a certain point. Oh, I'm in a meeting. Great, no problem. Sorry to interrupt. When's the best time to reconnect? Hey, real quick, in 30 seconds or less, you submitted that you were looking at X and Y, Z property. I'm curious what caught your eye and what's got you thinking about moving. Oh, blah, 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 and move past that. Oh, I gotta go. I'm in a meeting. No problem. I definitely understand, but I get past that point. And then I started asking them the questions about what's important to them. The idea was they're not in a hurry. They're not in a meeting or whatever. They're using that as their script to get off the phone with me, and they're not happy I'm calling. Many times I've gotten past that point and set appointments, had conversations, 20, 30-minute calls, dug down deep into what the reason they were moving is. I mean, there's tons of them. Downsizing, I had one that I set, was on the market with another agent. It wasn't an expired, it was another lead source. They were looking for a different agent. Man, she did not want to talk to me for whatever reason. She had reached out and she had talked to however many different agents, right? Not one of them talked to her about why they were moving. She didn't want to share it at first. They were moving because they couldn't afford the house anymore. I'm sorry to hear that. Dive into what's going on. What changed? COVID, lost job for a while, dug into savings, got a different job, doesn't pay as much, right? Situation wasn't great. Got to get that house sold. Well, now we know what the motivation is. We're going to have the right conversation to be able to accomplish that goal. A lot of agents wouldn't even bother to have. Don't even know why they're selling the house. Hey, this agent, this other agent that didn't sell the home, they're dumb. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. Well, I don't care about the other agent. I don't care about any of that. I care about why you're looking to make your move, and that's my script. It's understanding that motivation around it and having the right conversation to then move forward. And that the confidence. Who stole my screen?
It's weird. For me, it's I'll give you an example. I also have a nonprofit. A gentleman who is on our board, we were having a conversation and he said to me, he goes, no offense, but when we move, I probably will not use you as our realtor because so-and-so is our neighborhood specialist. Oh, I said, so have you met her? No, but she lists all the houses in the neighborhood. But does she know you? Do you know enough about her that you trust her to be your agent? You and I have known each other now for 3 years, and you know already that I have your best interest at heart. I know you and your wife. And what does a neighborhood specialist give you that I can't? Well, they know more about the neighborhood. Is knowing about your neighborhood, does she know more than I can Google in 30 seconds? And he was like, well, I said, I know exactly where you live. I sold a house down the street. Does that make me the neighborhood specialist now because I know about your neighborhood? So it was probably less combative than it sounds because it was very much a back and forth, but I think it's knowing the answers and how to get those, what's the term when they're coming back at you? I can't remember.
Are you talking about handling the objection?
Objection, thank
Yeah.
you. Handling the objection is, for me, like, it puts me in the zone.
Yeah.
That's where I get the zone, right? Like I get focused because it challenges me. So that's one, handling objections is one of those things that with scripts is vital.
Absolutely. And it gives you that confidence.
And there's no such thing as a neighborhood specialist. Stop it. Stop it.
That's stuff. There's no neighborhood.
You don't.
Gonzalo, don't you want to be a neighborhood specialist? No, I'm just
The
teasing.
Herndon specialist of all the neighborhoods.
The entire city of Herndon.
Love it. Thank you for sharing the story. Yes, it's all about kind of having those things ready, knowing what to say, being confident in what you're saying.
Right.
And that's going to show them a much better scenario than, I don't know what to say. I have no idea what you mean. Okay, well, I guess the neighborhood specialist is a neighborhood specialist, right? You knew what to say. You knew where to go. You know that that doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
She's not that good. I sold my house higher than she sold the house at the same time. I did tell him that.
Well, and ultimately that conversation then sets you up for, well, how are you going to win over the listing, right? So having that right conversation, getting the right questions and getting the objections out ahead of time, using your scripts helped you combat it.
Yeah,
Present
and,
the right
and I don't have
information.
any doubt in my value proposition.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important part of being in the business longer is I can say to you as someone who's considering, as the seller, considering listing, is what I'm gonna offer is far greater than this agent from this group is gonna offer. That's the confidence build,
Yeah.
but it's the awkwardness to start with. I gotta get over it.
Page 5, there's a thing here. Let me see if I can get the video. How to use scripts. I have to do something different here. Hang on one second. Guys online, my apologies. And then we're probably not going to get to the end of today because I don't want to take you guys too far past. Huh?
Karen Broussard.
Sorry, I forgot there was a video in the middle of this, and I can't do it if I open it with Google Slides. For some reason, it doesn't allow me to. So I'll download first. So. Screen.
Hey, I have limiting belief. Nobody asked about my beliefs.
What's your limiting belief? I asked if you wanted to share any.
Oh, yeah, I did. The home is too high priced for me to call.
The home is too high priced? What do you mean?
Let's just say it's like $2 million house or $1.4 million house.
Oh, you mean
I'm intimidated by the price of the home because I haven't sold anything, right? I haven't listed anything. So I want to start off smaller just to get the experience of going through the whole process. But that's why I'm not calling and reaching out to the higher priced homes. I've reached up to like 900,000, but I haven't hit the million houses yet. Other houses.
okay. Was there something different between a $900,000 home and a $1.2 million home?
My mentality barrier, yeah.
Yeah, that's not mindset.
So how do you overcome that?
That's where I need you guys.
Drink more milk? Is that milk? That's what it looks like.
It's eggnog.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's my favorite.
I love eggnog.
I would drink eggnog all day long. I say
So
that.
would
every year. I say that every year, and then I go through
And
like
you pay
one
for
carton
it.
of it, and then I stop. It's like, yeah.
You need the Fireball kind. That's really good. So good. What does the person who owns a $1.2 million house have on you?
A $1.2.
Why are they scary? Why are they scary?
Well, I'm sure they have connections, people that they know in their real lives that are real estate agents that have listed and sold and been in the business longer than I have. That's just one reason.
Don't $500,000 houses have connections like that?
Yes,
Okay.
but they're not. That's not a luxury home they're selling.
Okay.
To them it is.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh, that was a good answer.
I love it, Vinny.
Wait, what did he say?
He said to them it is.
It's a luxury listing.
Yeah. It's their home.
I'll tell him it's not a luxury house, lady.
Probably a bad idea.
I'd be like, lady, you see this Great Falls house right here? That's a luxury home right here.
Probably not a good plan of action. So what do you think you can do to help overcome that?
I need to get a listing, go through the process and sell a house or apartment or whatever, anything. One, that's it.
I thought the same thing. My first was a sell and a buy, and it came to a little over 2 million. My very first one, and I had every feeling that you have, but then I said within myself, why not me?
So how did you get that $2 million listing? Did you call?
No, they called me.
Oh, that's not the word we're talking about.
Well, sure it is.
Yeah, it is.
No, because if someone called me from a $2 million listing, it means they want to talk to me, not me talk to them. So I'm limiting to call them. We're outreach.
Yeah, but you just explained your own limiting belief, your own limiting mindset right there. Why would anyone reach out to me? You need to flip it and say, why would anyone not reach out to me?
You have the #1 team in
Right.
Loudoun County behind you, or even in Fairfax. That's what I used for my first 5 transitions, was the team that was behind me. Because the team behind you is awesome. Just say Brad Boland's name. I mean, that what you have, what you become a part of is so wonderful, and you have to believe it.
And then you find someone in the office to go with you. That's it.
I love it. I love it. So we got to constantly keep reminding ourselves, what are those things that can help us through the limiting belief? So I challenge you again, you wrote down a couple, write a step-by-step process on what it would look like for you to be able to overcome that limiting belief. So take 5 steps, and Gonzalo, sorry, I didn't have these down here earlier when you were here, but write down 4 or 5 steps, how you get from I can't do it to I can do it, I will do it, right? Let's take a look at how to use scripts.
Hi, I'm Jeff Glover, and I'm going to tell you the top 5 things that you need to know about using scripts. Step 1, you're going to need to get your scripts from a top agent at the office, your team leader, a MAPS coach, or of course Keller Williams University. Step 2, we're going to need to do a total transformation of, instead of talking and telling, of asking questions. Selling isn't telling, selling is asking a series of questions that leads to desired response. So instead of talking so much, we need to get in the habit of asking questions. And asking questions gives us control of the conversation. Control of the conversation gives us our ultimate outcome, which is an appointment set or a closing. Step 3, we need to listen with good intentions. Well, what I mean by that is we need to listen to their answers instead of just listening to them talk and asking another question that comes to mind. For example, instead of asking a seller where they're moving to and then going on to the next question, how soon would you like to be there? Ask them, where are you moving to? And when they give you a response, ask them, what takes you there? Step 4 in becoming better at scripts is we need to learn to mimic, mirror, and match the prospect. What I mean by that is we have to listen to their tone of voice. We have to speed up or slow down based on how fast the prospect is talking. That means when they respond and say, we're moving to Toledo, oh, Toledo, that's exciting. What takes you there? 93% of communication is body language and tonality. And that means only 7% are the words that we say or the questions that we ask. Step 5, we need to take these 5 points and practice them daily. If you think of NFL teams, they practice 50, 60 hours on the practice field for a 1-hour game. Our game is our presentations and our appointments, and we need to practice daily everything that we've learned every single day before we meet with our clients. When it comes to scripts, my biggest aha is that everybody has their own scripts. We're pre-programmed to have scripts, and we're talking and asking questions that are scripted. However, what we found is that most of our own scripts are no good. And so we have to learn the right scripts, the right questions to maintain control of the conversation. Thanks for watching KW Connect. Make it a great day.
I guess I could just keep using this one out, right? What's the benefit of asking questions versus telling in your packet? What's it give you?
Insight.
Insight into what's happening, needs of the client,
Motivation.
motivation. It also gives you in the moment control of the conversation. So you can go where you need to go. What are some things you can do in a conversation to show the other party that you're truly listening?
Acknowledge and repeat their answer without sounding like a therapist.
Repeat back to them. Mirror and match. What else? Anything else?
Say that again.
What are some things you can do in a conversation to show the other party that you're truly listening?
Nod your head.
Eye contact.
Eye contact, be part of the conversation, ask questions about their answers. That's one of the biggest connection makers that I've learned over the years, is that's why I mastered the script I master and had multiple questions for everything, because that's how you can make a big impact. Somebody tells you, just like he kind of gave there, like, oh, I'm headed to, Arkansas. Well, what the heck's in Arkansas? Why are you going there? Asking a question about their answer, you're showing them you're listening, you're showing them you care by digging into that question. Instead of just moving on and you're not having a conversation anymore, you're just in an interrogation. Where were you on the night of the 15th? This is where it gets fancy. Gonna go over this for a little bit, kind of fly through some of this. Memorization and practice lead to the internalization of scripts. He said practice every day. I couldn't agree more. Whether that's you reading over a script or an objection, you take one objection, you grab it from somewhere and you read it. You read it every day. And then 2 or 3 days later, you call up, your significant other, you call up somebody in the office and you go over the script as is. You read it. Before you're talking to clients, you don't practice on clients, you practice on other people, right? Anybody in here ever play sports? Yeah, everybody in here played sports, right? The first thing you do when you play a sport, you go out to the first game. Is that the first thing you do?
Nope.
No. You do what?
Scrimmage.
You practice. You go over fundamentals. You go over it over and over and over and over again. And then you scrimmage. And that's going to be you going over it and over as you reading it, you saying it aloud, and your scrimmage is talking to somebody you know. And you're practicing with them on that script. And then you go to the games. You're still going to get practice in the games, and yet you'll be better off because you went through the memorization and practice before you actually did the deal. Oh, can you guys stop blocking? Move, Gonzalo. How do I move you?
Just go to the
You can
minimize.
minimize me. You can
I don't want,
minimize
I don't want to see your face, man.
it.
There we go.
That's
It only
nice.
does it on one side of the.
It's fine.
Read. This is kind of the idea of what you should do. Doesn't necessarily mean you do it this way, but the first sentence of the script out loud 5 times, repeat that sentence 5 times while smiling. Why do we smile? I know that smiling is like the dumbest thing, and I felt stupid when I did it. And then I put a mirror in front of my face. I did that dumb stuff too. And darned it if I did not sound better when I'm smiling. It's crazy. Read that same sentence 5 times out loud. The second line 10 times while smiling. Say the script from memory. Recite the first 2 sentences. This is just a way to go through and get your script so that you're putting it in a position to internalize it. Now, one of the most important things that you're going to see here is, and I said it a second ago, and it sounds counterintuitive to what I mentioned earlier about internalizing. You want to do it word for word. Wherever you get the script, you do it word for word. And that's why you're doing all of this before you talk to clients or anybody. You do it word for word as is. Once you have that mastered, memorized, then you start making it your own. That's where you can take it out there and you can adjust it to the person you're talking to. And that happens automatically on the fly because that script is now your own. It's part of your belief. It's part of who you are. And you can change it like that. You don't have to think about it because you know it. You've got it. So that's why you do these steps. You can do them in front of people. You can do them with clients, but then you're risking not being prepared, right? So you practice ahead of time, you go through the steps, and then you internalize it. And say it as fast as you can 5 times in a row. Peter, Piper, Pickle, Pepper. I don't know.
Pickle peppers.
Great. There you go.
Oh, my wife's gonna love me.
Why?
Because you're gonna
I'm
practice.
gonna make her do scripts.
Well, she's the one who wanted to do it anyway. She's gonna learn it now.
So what I've got in front of you guys, and we're a little bit over time, about 5 minutes over. We started 5 minutes late. I knew we were going to start late today. Sorry about that. Do we want to take some time now to go over the LPT Mama script? We did it last week. We could do it again this week. Does anybody have any confidence to do it, or are we gonna come back next week and have it ready?
We can do it next week.
We're coming back next week. It's like,
All right.
isn't there no next week?
Mohammed, what?
Can we do it next week? Next week, please.
We can do it next week, sure. But are we gonna have it ready next week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's have it ready next week. LPT Mama, you guys have it in front of you. If you don't, send me an email. I'll forward it to you. If you need it, there's copies here in the office. Next time you're in the office, right on the front desk under the TV. LPT Mama. Any ahas? Anything anyone wants to share before we go?
Thanks everybody for the helpful suggestions to help me get over my own limiting beliefs. Try.
What we're here for.
I'm gonna call a $2 million house. Okay, Vinny,
Do
just
it.
for you.
They exist in Herndon. Hit that main downtown Herndon area.
$2 million?
Yes, downtown Herndon, close to the new condos down there. There's those big, beautiful Victorians down there.
Ooh. Do it up.
I know about the $1 million houses. I gotta look into the $2 million houses.
It's 2021. They're worth $2 million now.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that's in Herndon.
Crazy.
All right.
Awesome. Good work today, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you
Everybody
all.
out.
Appreciate you. Bye.
Later. Ah.
What's your nonprofit?
Dulles